You were listening to episode number 44 of the Everything Ham Radio podcast. My name is Curtis, K5CLM, and I am your host. Today we're going to be talking about... Honestly, I don't really know. We're just going to be talking. We're going to be talking about the Newport County Amateur Radio Club from Middletown, Rhode Island, in our Amateur Radio Club Spotlight. We're going to be talking about some upcoming events and contests and Hamfests for the next 2 weeks, and wrap it all up with some news from around the hobby. So, stay tuned. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Everything Ham Radio podcast. Once again, my name is Curtis, Kilo 5 Charlie Lima Mike, and I am your host for this episode as well as every other episode, so basically just this podcast. Today, we're not really going to be talking about any particular one topic. We're going to be talking about several things. And the reason behind this, if you saw my Facebook post, you'll realize that I've been sick for the past week. So that I'm actually doing this on Wednesday morning, the day before my podcast is released. Normally I have these things done by like Sunday, so I'm a little bit behind. I've got quite a bit of it done. I started feeling better by like Sunday or something like that, but and I got quite a bit of it done, but I didn't get the main meat of the episode done, so I've been trying to find some time to do it now. And this is when it happened. It just so happened that one of my foster kids are going to Austin today on a field trip, and my wife is having to take her and pick her up since the same person that takes her has to pick her up, and they're not getting back until like 8 o'clock at night. And I'm normally in bed by about 8:30 because I wake up at 4:30 every morning. So she had to wake up and be there at 6, and it's like 35 minutes or so to the school that she's going to. And so they had to leave here at like 5 o'clock. So I went ahead and got up with my wife and my daughter that was leaving at 4:30 this morning and decided to do this morning, which works out, pretty good. Since I have most of it done, hopefully this, talking segment here, the main meat of this episode, will only take, 20-30 minutes or so. So it worked out really good. So, but anyways, I totally skipped over what I normally do. So let's see. You can find the show notes of this episode at everythingham.com/podcast/44. That's number 44. You can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/everythinghamradio, on YouTube at youtube.com/everythinghamradio, and on Twitter at K5CLM. So, today, like I said in the beginning, we're going to be talking about the Newport County Amateur Radio Club out of Middletown, Rhode Island. A little bit later in our club spotlight, we got some news and events. Not a whole lot of events and Hamfests that are going on over the next couple weeks, but it is what it is because it's getting Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that good stuff. So, but anyways, I thought maybe we would talk about. First off, about maybe some plans that I have for the upcoming year. When I first started this podcast, I actually sat down and wrote out what every topic was for the first quarter, and I had kind of a head start on what I was going to be talking about. Well, after that first quarter, about halfway in, probably about June, I guess, really is when it started to get a little disorganized. It was kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to be talking about in this episode, and that's where the predicament that I'm in now stems from, basically. If I had this all planned out and knew what I was going to be talking about, it wouldn't be as bad because I could have researched all this stuff on the 2 or 3 days that I was sick when I normally record my podcast. So now I'm in this predicament of having no idea what to talk about, so we're talking about this. So basically what my plans are for this upcoming year. One, I want to sit down and I want to plan out the entire year. for this next year. So that's 52 episodes. I need to figure out what I want to talk about. So if any of y'all have any ideas of what y'all want to talk about, please shoot me an email to k5clm@everythinghamradio.com. Let me know what you would like to hear about, learn about, and stuff like that, and I'll put it in the mix. A couple other things. I mentioned a couple episodes ago that I was wanting to get a shirt or something made, or kind of made. Basically, I could go out to some company and I could make, my logo, where it would be, I could put it on a shirt or something, get it made, and sell it to y'all. Well, something else that I've been working on over the past few months or so is I'm thinking very seriously about starting a screen printing business. And I've done a couple things, I've kind of experimented with it a little bit. I made me some screens, got me some ink, stuff like that. I made a couple shirts for my wife and I with our ranch logo on it, and it turned out really well. So rather than outsourcing my shirts and stuff for just my everyday shirt, I'm thinking, why don't I just make it myself? That way, instead of having to charge y'all $30 for a shirt, it would be like 15 or 20. So that's kind of where I'm going. So I'm in the process of figuring out how I want to do my logo, where I want to put it at, what I want to charge, all that good stuff. So my plan is that sometime right around January or so, maybe around the 1 year anniversary, I'm going to have everything that I need in place to where I can start selling t-shirts. So I'm also thinking about going ahead and putting maybe a picture of a shirt up on the website and making it where you can pre-order it. I'm not actually going to sell it until after the first of the year, but if you want to, I'm thinking I'll go ahead and put a shirt up there, give you the option to pre-order it, and then once it's made in January, then I can go ahead and ship it. And not only will this allow me to see if there's interest in it, but it'll also give me maybe a little startup capital to get some extra supplies that I might need to make it a little bit more easy. So look in for it. I'll probably make the official announcement or so maybe next episode and tell you where you can go. But please definitely tune in for a later episode on what to do, where to go, how much it's going to be, and all that good stuff. I'm going to try and get it together this coming week and get it put up there. So if you would like a Everything Ham Radio t-shirt, please check back in next episode, and I will tell you where to go and what you need to do. Hats and stuff are probably going to be either outsourced for now or maybe a little bit later on, because it's really hard to screen print a hat, so those are probably going to have to be embroidered. So I need to find me a embroidery place until I'm actually able to afford an embroidery machine, because my wife wants to do that as well. So that's something that's coming in the future as well. But that's going to have to be a little bit later down the road, once maybe I make a little profit where I can reinvest in my business. But that is my goal, to start up some kind of screen printing business, embroidery, decals, stuff like that. So definitely stay tuned for more information in later episodes. So something else that I'm thinking about doing is I really need to go into my website and add some stuff that I've been neglecting to do. There's several pages that I need to add that I've just been not motivated to do. For one, a get started page. That's a really great page to have on your site. Stuff to, how to get your license, what kind of radios to buy, different things like that. So I'm going to be working on my website um, over the next few months or so, adding some extra pages. I need to get some extra stuff for this podcast as well. I've had some ideas on, maybe adding some other sound effects, kind of breaking it up a little bit. I'm still looking for a sponsor for the podcast. Um, it doesn't really seem like it's going to work out really well with Gigaparts for whatever reason. I just don't know what happened there. They've given me um, several items to give away, and I haven't had very many entries into it. They've given me some discount codes, and this last one on this Nanite case, that the last coupon code that they gave away, there was no takers. Nobody bought it. So I don't know if we're just picking the wrong uh, stuff to give away and to get discounts on, or what. But Jeff at their Gig Parts, he's been great. He's been really working with me, trying to see if this would work for them. But it just seems like it's not gonna work out. And actually, he hasn't returned my email that I sent him a couple weeks ago. I hadn't heard from him in a couple weeks, so I don't know if it's gonna work out or not. I was really hoping that it would. So I've been trying to find some other kind of sponsors that would sign on to my podcast, but I haven't had much luck on that. I actually was looking for, here in Texas, there used to be a couple ham radio stores, one being Main Trading Company, which, if y'all listen to Ham Radio 360, is one of their sponsors, and they're not going to sponsor my podcast as well. Then you have Ham Radio Outlets, which I've approached them and have never heard anything back from them. Texas Towers is in Plano, as well as Ham Radio Outlet. I haven't really approached them on it. I really probably should. And then there used to be a couple others, one of which was Austin Amateur Radio Supply, which went out of business about a year ago. And then there was one in Houston, which is Houston Amateur Radio Supply. And as you'll learn a little bit later on in the episode, they went out of business recently too. So what's going on here in Texas, I don't know. I don't know if the new ham radio outlet store just took all the business away. I wouldn't think so, since that's in Plano as well, and even for me, living in the DFW area is still a good hour and a half drive from me. So I would love it if there was a ham radio store that was closer, maybe on the Fort Worth side of things or something like that. It would be awesome. But as it stands right now, to go to a ham radio store, I have to go either to Plano or to Paris, Texas. So either way, I'm looking at about a hour and a half, 2 hour drive. And more than likely, I would probably go to Main Trading Company up in Paris, Texas right now, because going to Plano for ham radio outlet or for Texas Towers is a major undertaking for me. I mean, you're talking about a lot of traffic. Now, there is things like, y'all that live in the major metropolitan area are probably used to all the traffic. I personally don't like driving in traffic. I did that right after college for about a year or so, and I just hated it. I don't know if it was because I had a standard at the time, or just because there was so much traffic or what, but I hated it. I'll do it if I have to, and there are times when I have to. My wife wants to go up into Fort Worth, Arlington area, and go shopping at wherever, or I have to take my kids to a visit, and we have a lot of Tarrant County kids, so I have to drive up in Fort Worth traffic. I hate going to Dallas though, because it's just it's bad. I've driven in Austin and San Antonio and Houston. Oh my God, Houston's right up there close with Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, stuff like that. So I really don't like driving to Houston. But to me, it's pretty well a straight shot up to Paris. Right at 35 for me, and 35 is not really all that bad going through Fort Worth. So I would probably go up to Main Trading Company. But if you haven't checked out Main Trading Company, that Richard, here's you a free uh, shout out. Check out Main Trading Company. They are an awesome guy and gal that own it. It's a mom and pop shop, and they have a lot of stuff. They give some awesome discounts. They go to, they went to Dayton this past year. They took a big trailer up there and did awesome up there. They go to Hamfests all over the place. They give some great deals. A lot of times they can't even advertise the deals that they do on the internet or anything. You actually have to call them to find out about these things. They will send out emails or something. Hey, we got this great deal on this thing. Call us for more details. But Richard and his wife are really awesome people. I've talked to them a couple times. I think I met them at the local Hamcom here a few years ago. And I've talked to them on email a couple times, but they're really nice people. So check them out. It's mtcradio.com. They have a really nice deal going on right now. I believe through the month of November, kind of like a Black Friday type thing, Black November type thing, or whatever. So, but anyways, I haven't had a whole lot of luck finding a sponsor. So I'm looking for other avenues to supplement our family's income, and that's where my screen printing thing comes in. So hopefully I can get that off the ground a little bit here in the next year. I also have basically the income that I make off this thing is not even enough to pay the hosting on it, and honestly, right now, about the only thing I have is donations from y'all. And through Amazon affiliates, which I haven't had anything on it for several months, probably 4 or 5 months, I guess. I guess the last time that somebody bought something through Amazon from me was like back in July, I think. But I guess I need to work on something on getting that out there. And then the other thing I have is just the ads that are on the website, which have been doing fairly well. Y'all have been gracious enough to click on some of those and give me a little bit of income. However, I have to have $100 in it before I can reap the benefits of it. So I'm getting close to it. I'm up to like $65 over the past 2 years, and 3/4 of that's come in the past 6 months or so. So please keep on doing that. Be a nice little bonus so I can get to the $100 mark before Christmas. I can get some extra Christmas presents. But I do have some plans. I'm wanting to get me a new mic, like I've told y'all before for my podcast. I found one, not the best one. I'd really like to get like an Audio Technica AR2100, I believe it is, USB mic, which is like $60, I think, on Amazon. That's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But I did find me a fairly nice one, and it's only like 15, and it's a dynamic mic, and it's USB and has a stand and all that. So I'm probably going to go along those lines for now until sometime next year, when I can get me a new computer and a new mic and maybe set up like a home recording station or something like that. But that's what I've got right now. Let's see. I wanted to share this with y'all. I got an email from a gentleman by the name of Larry Nutt. I got it from him. It's been a couple. I guess it was last Sunday when I got the message from him, and I got his permission to share it with y'all. So I want to do that. And Larry says, "New technician here. Got my ticket a few weeks ago, and am now studying for the general test, which he plans on taking in December. I just wanted to drop you a quick note to let you know how much I appreciate your podcast. I have listened to a few different ones, and yours is my favorite. I like how you cover different topics and explain them in terms that's easy to understand. Being new to the hobby, it can be intimidating to know where to start or what even to ask. So it's nice to look through your different episodes and select new topics to learn. I also respect tremendously how you talk to us. Some other podcasters or hams talk down to their listeners, especially newer ones, who are trying to learn and maybe don't have an exorbitant budget to throw at a new hobby. It feels like I'm sitting in your shack with you and we're having a conversation. I also love how you are just real. You might forget a word here or there or mispronounce something, but who cares? He's definitely right. I definitely do that. I try, but I do that. He continues, in the world of fakes and seekers of their own ego, it's refreshing to hear someone that doesn't try to be perfect and overproduce. Always, or anyways, keep up the good work, and I enjoy listening. Larry, KM4YPF. Larry, thank you so much for the email. It meant a lot to me. Like I said, I greatly appreciate it, and yeah, I will mispronounce words every now and then, and I may forget words or something like that. But this hobby is something that you can be yourself with, and yeah, there might be some podcasts out there that people just maybe kind of talk down to you, or maybe explain stuff in ways that you can't understand. I would hope that ham radio podcasts are not that way. I know my good buddy Kale over at Ham Radio 360. He does an awesome job. I really enjoy his episodes, and he actually had one just this week, I guess, that came out. His his Christmas shopping list episode came out this week. So I haven't listened to it all, but he does have Jeremy and George on there as well this year, or this episode. That do his Ham Radio 360 Workbench episodes on the opposite weeks of his main one. But they talk about different things that have come out this year and stuff to buy. So definitely check that out. You can find that at hamradio360.com. Like I said, I haven't listened to it all, but I'm sure there's probably a lot of good information. Kel is a great guy. And he's a new ham as well, or a newish ham as well. He admits he doesn't know everything. He finds people that knows the topic, and he'll talk with them. And the episodes that they have are really great. I, on the other hand, I've tried the interview style thing. It was just so hard to coordinate times and when they can do it and when I could do it, because I don't have the greatest internet here at my house, so I always had to do it at work. And it never seemed to fail that I would be doing absolutely nothing at work until I started recording an interview. And I would get 5 minutes into the interview and the phone would ring, or an officer would say something or something like that, and I had to take care of it. And there was many times through the episode, and if y'all listen to those episodes, you'll probably hear what I'm talking about. I always tell whoever I'm interviewing that if I don't start talking right away when you get done talking, just wait for me, because I got a phone call or something like that, and I would come right back, and then we'd pick up from there. Well, one time in particular really sticks out for me and that's on the mobile installations episode, and I don't remember what the number is off the top of my head, but I was talking with Alan, and he was explaining something. I don't remember exactly what he was explaining. Something to do with grounding, I think. And he was explaining this part of it, and he was talking pretty good, and the phone rang. So I muted my microphone and took my call, got it situated, came back, and he was quiet. So I was, figured he was done. So, I apologized for it, and I said, okay, let's go ahead and get started again. And I asked a question that he had answered not a minute before. So it's kind of embarrassing on stuff like that, but it was really hard to do from work. And like I said, with my internet connection here at home, it's pretty well impossible or extremely hard to do anyways. So I decided just to go back to just the talking head format, and that seems to be working out pretty well. It's a lot more research on my part because, unlike an interview style thing, all you do is you find somebody that knows what they're talking about, and you ask them questions, and basically they fill in your podcast episode with information. Where with me, I actually have to research the topics, learn about it myself, and then teach y'all in a way that y'all can understand as well. To the best of my ability, to the best of my understanding, it would be great if I could have somebody that knew something about it where they could do that. But when you have to learn yourself, you have to learn yourself. And I enjoy this because I can do it whenever. Here it is. It's 5:30 in the morning when I'm recording this, so it works out pretty good for me. Okay, so just to kind of an overview of what we talked about, I'm going to start selling t-shirts and stuff here in the coming year, first part of the year, so please stay tuned for that. And I'm going to be putting up a pre-order page on some t-shirts, probably within the next couple of weeks. So make sure and check into that as well if you want to pre-order a t-shirt and help me out greatly on getting material and stuff like that. Because it's always hardest to start a business, especially with very little capital. I'm also looking to get a little bit more organized in the coming year. I'm never a great organizer. You can ask my wife about that. But I want to try and get a little bit more organized this next year. Figure out what I'm going to be talking about over the entire 52 episodes of next year. So this doesn't happen again. So if you have any ideas on stuff that you want to hear or learn about, please email me k5clm@everythinghamradio.com, and I will put that in the mix. Again, thanks to Larry for the email, and thanks for everybody that's emailed me. I've had quite a few of them these past few weeks or so, thanking me for the podcast, especially some new hams. So please keep those coming. Please keep listening to my podcast and sharing with your friends. And so let's see. Is there anything else that I want to talk about? I can't really think of anything else. Other than all of y'all out there that pray. I want to ask you to pray for my family. We've got 5 beautiful kids right now. 3 boys and 2 girls, and they're all probably going to be leaving us soon. So, it might be like an empty house or so in Christmas. So please pray for us. Pray for that we can make it through this holiday season and maybe get some new kids as well. So, I guess that about wraps it up. And we're approaching the 30-minute mark on the episode, so let's go ahead and move on, and I guess that about wraps it up. So let's talk about the Newport County Amateur Radio Club. So in today's Amateur Radio Club Spotlight, we're talking about the Newport County Amateur Radio Club in Middletown, Rhode Island. The Newport Amateur Radio Club can be found at w1sye.org. That's Whiskey 1 Sierra Yankee Echo.org. The Newport County Amateur Radio Club was started in 1945. They have a rather extensive history on their website with some really old pictures of members doing various things. So it's really cool to check it out. They also have a 17-page PDF that was written by one of their members, and it's a pretty neat read. I mean, it has a lot of information on there, and there's links to both the club website as well as the history of the club in the show notes of today's episode. They have meetings on the second Monday of every month at 7 p.m., and it's held at the KVH Manufacturing Facility at 75 Enterprise Drive in Middletown, Rhode Island. They have informal meetings for breakfast every Thursday morning at 8:15 a.m., and they have that at Chelsea's Restaurant at 1015 Ac- uh, Aquidneck Avenue. So if you're in Middletown, Rhode Island, anytime on Thursday morning or on the second Monday of the month, make sure you stop by and check out their club. They have two repeaters. One is on the 145.45 megahertz with a negative offset and a PL of 145. It is a FM analog repeater. They have a D-Star repeater with a gateway on 145.3. They hold two nets every week. An informal net convenes every evening, Monday through Friday at 1900 hours, and on Sunday morning at 8:15 on the 145.45 repeater. And they have a open D-Star net linked to reflector 69 Charlie every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. on the D-Star repeater of 145.3. This club is really active as well. They do several functions throughout the year. They do the Jamboree on the Air. They do Field Day, of course. They do fox hunting, NCRC Island activations, National Parks on the Air, International Lighthouse and Lightship Weekends, DXCC. They also do, last year, they did a sponsorship for a local school and talked to the International Space Station, actually made television and stuff like that. So head on over to their website. They have a bunch of links on there, and links to news broadcasts and stuff like that covered that event. So make sure you check out the Newport Amateur Radio Club. Again, their website is w1sye.org, and links to this as well as all the other links will be in the show notes of today's episode. So if you would like to have your club in our Amateur Radio Club spotlight in a future episode, please send me an email to k5clm@everythinghamradio.com and include a link to y'all's website, your club name, your name, and anything else that you might want me to make sure and discuss or talk about on the club spotlight. Alright, next up, on the 17th from 1:30 to 3:30 hours, we have the NAQCC CW Sprint. On the 18th from 1:45 to 2:15, we have the NCCC RTTY Sprint. Also on the 18th from 2:30 to 300 hours is the NCCC Sprint. On the 18th from 1600 to 2200 hours, we have the YO International PSK 31 Contest. On the 19th, starting at 0000 hours, running to November the 20th at 23:59, is the ARRL EME Contest. On the 19th, from 1000 hours to 1000 hours on the 20th, is the SARL Field Day Contest. From 1200 hours on the 19th to 1200 hours on the 20th, we have the LZDX Contest. From 1600 hours on the 19th to 700 hours on the 20th, we have the All-Austrian 160 meter contest. November the 19th, from 1700 hours to 1859, we have the Feld Hell Sprint. On the 19th, from 1900 hours to 2300 hours, we have the RSGB second 1.8 megahertz contest on CW. On the 19th, from 2100 hours to 300 hours on the 21st, is the ARRL Sweepstakes Contest on single sideband. November the 20th, from 1300 hours to 1500 hours on 40 meters, and from 1500 hours to 1700 hours on 80 meters, is the Homebrew and Old Time Equipment Party. On the 21st, from 200 hours to 400 hours, is the Run for the Bacon QRP contest. On the 23rd, from 0 hours to 200 hours, is the SKCC Sprint. From 2:30 to 300 hours on the 23rd is the Phone Fray. And last but not least, on the 23rd, from 1300 to 1400, from 1900 to 2000, and on the 24th, from 300 to 400, is the CW Ops Mini CWT test. On the 24th, from 2000 hours to 2100 hours, we have the RSGB 80 meter club sprint on CW. On the 25th, from 1:45 to 2:15, we have the NCCC RTTY sprint, followed from 2:30 to 3 o'clock with the NCCC sprint. On the 26th from 0000 hours to the 27th at 2400 hours, we have the CQ Worldwide DX Contest on CW. November the 30th from 200 to 300 hours, we have Phone Fray. November 30th from 1300 to 1400, and from 1900 to 2000 hours, and then ending on December the 1st from 300 to 400 hours, we have the CW Ops Mini CWT test. On the 30th from 2000 hours to 2100 hours, we have the UK EICC 80 meter contest. On the 19th, we have the Alabama State Convention, MARC Hamfest 2016 in Montgomery, Alabama. The Cy Harris Memorial Free Flea in Oakland Park, Florida. The Upper Pinellas ARC Hamfest in Palm Harbor, Florida. And on the 20th, we have the JARS Fest 2016 in Benson, North Carolina. On the 25th, we have the Fairlawn ARC Ham Radio Auction in Fairlawn, New Jersey. And on the 26th, we have the OARC Hamfest in the Woods in Okeechobee, Florida. Alright, and that wraps up our events and our Hamfests. All of the events was taken from the WA7BNM contest calendar, which you can find a link for in the show notes of today's episode. And all of the Hamfests were taken from the ARRL Hamfest calendar. So, for more information on those, you can go to our show notes at everythinghamradio.com/podcast/44 and click on whichever link you want to click on. Okay, so next we have our news. Alright, so in the news for this episode, 2 radio amateurs are set to join the ISS crew. Astronaut Peggy Whitson, KC5ZTD, and Thomas Pasquale, KG5FYG, and a cosmonaut Oleg Novitsky will head into space on November 17th for a 6-month stay aboard the International Space Station. NASA television coverage will begin at 17:30 UTC time on November 16th. The launch from Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan will be at 18:20 UTC on November 17th. It will take the Expedition 50-51 crew members 2 days to reach the ISS in their Soyuz vessel. Welcoming the new crew increments will be Expedition number 50 Commander Shane Kimbrough, KE5HOD, and crew members Sergei Racheva and Andriy Borsenko, who have been aboard the complex since October. Whitson will become the first woman to command the space station twice. Her first tenure as commander was in 2007, when she became the first woman to hold that position. The crew is scheduled to return to Earth next spring. Thank you to NASA. So, we'll finally have 2 amateur radio operators again in space. Now we just have one, I believe the second one that we had returned not too long ago. So, for all y'all ISS seekers out there that try to talk to them or try to follow the International Space Station, there you go. There is you 2 opportunities to talk to them, and I'm sure they have a long line of schools and stuff that are trying to talk to them as well. So good luck making that contact. A Chinese students' FM transponder satellite has been launched. The Dream 1 CAS-2T, a technical verification satellite for the CAMSAT CAS-2 series of amateur radio satellites, was launched on November 9th on board the Long March CZ-11 rocket. Developed by middle school students with the support of China's Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology, the Science and Technology Museum, and the Eastern Highland Quan Youth Space Science Organization, the 2U CubeSat carries a ham radio 145 and 435 MHz FM transponder. CAS-2T will not separate from the final stage of its launcher rocket, so the orbital life may be just 10 to 30 days before the final stage of the rocket re-entries re-enters Earth's atmosphere. CW telemetry beacon 435.710 MHz, transponder uplink of 145.925 MHz FM, and transponder downlink of 435.615 MHz. Thanks to Alan Kung, BA1DU, for this information. And last but certainly not least, Houston, we have a problem. Main trading company owner Richard Lenore from Paris, Texas, put out an email about a week and a half ago now, and this is what it reads. As many in Texas area know, Houston amateur radio supply is no more. My thinking is that a city with that many hams needs a store. A full-line store with all brands and models in stock and ready to sell. At least, that's what I think. We have been receiving a few emails and phone calls from folks wanting us to look into it. Folks have been asking us for years now to put a store in that area. Well, we have been looking into it. It seems there is a little interest there, but we want to hear from hams of the area. Would you like to see us put a store there? I was there last week. If we were to move forward with this, it would be very soon, but we don't want to do anything until we hear from hams in the area. This would be a huge move for us. It would be a major undertaking. Our plan is for a second location. I would have to spend a lot of time there. It would mean a lot of hard work, long hours, and dedication on our part to bring you a first-class store in Houston. It will be a major sacrifice, y'all, on us and our families. It is 300 miles away. We do have a plan. We are really looking at putting out this kind of investment in the ham community, but we want to make sure the locals are on board before we proceed any further. We have sent out a few emails to a few of our customers and friends in the area asking what they thought. It seems there will be no way to make everyone happy as far as location, as Houston is huge. There are more hams in Houston than there are people in the city of Paris, Texas. I know that this may seem a little unprofessional, but we always try and keep our customers abreast of what's going on here. We want you to know us and who we are. We are a mom and pop, and that is who we will be in the Houston area as well. Will Main Trading Company, our company, thrive there as it does here in this small town of Paris, Texas? So what do you think? Do you live in the Houston area? Do you want a ham radio store there? Would you support the store there if we had it there? This is a major decision for our families here. Please take a few minutes to complete a very short survey and send us your honest comments. We want to do this, but we want to hear from you first. We cannot do it without your support. Thank you, Robert Lenore, owner, Main Trading Company. There is a link in the show notes of today's episode as to that will take you to the survey that Richard sent out. So if you live in the Houston area or anywhere near Houston, at least closer to Houston than to Paris, definitely check out the show notes and click on that survey and take that short survey. Well, y'all, that pretty much wraps up this episode. If you want to find more information and a link to all the stuff we've talked about, make sure you check out the show notes of today's episode. You can find it at everythinghamradio.com/podcast/44. Once again, I'd like to say thank you for listening to this episode of the Everything Ham Radio podcast. If you would like to receive emails on when I publish a new blog post or a new podcast episode, you could subscribe to my email list by simply going to everythinghamradio.com/subscribe. Fill out the form, click on the sign me up button. An email will be sent to you. You will need to click on the link in the email to confirm your subscription. If you would like to help out financially, you can support this podcast by doing one of several things, or two of several things, or all of them for that matter. One, you can make a one-time donation through PayPal. You can become a per episode contributor through Patreon, and you'll do just a $1, $5. There's several levels you can sign up for, and every episode it will automatically be charged to you once a month, I believe. Or you can simply shop on Amazon.com using my affiliate link, and then a small portion of whatever you spend will be given to me. You will not notice a difference, but I will get a small finder's fee, basically. So Please follow me on Facebook. You can find me at facebook.com/everythinghamradio, on YouTube at youtube.com/everythinghamradio, and on Twitter at K5CLM. Please also give me a star rating and a honest review on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, wherever you're listening to this at, and share this with your friends. So until next time, this is K5CLM signing out. 73, y'all.